Hope you're having a great day, everyone. It is Matsimus here with you today. Thanks for joining me. Unfortunately, I am not having a great day. Recently, I found some information that was posted by a number of my followers on my channel informing me of an idea that the British government has tried to enact and potentially going to put in place as an option for defence cuts and spending. You know, defence cuts and spending is something that most of us around the world, especially in the Western world, are getting used to. We're seeing more and more, funding not going towards where it should be, troops being cut out of the armed forces from, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Army, whatever it may be. It's just happening, and it's very sad to see. And in the UK, it's getting worse. It's progressively getting worse. More and more soldiers are being cut. But, I tend to get used to that fact. It's unfortunately one of those things that's happening, and no matter how much I complain online, it's going to make absolutely no difference. One thing, though, that really grinds my gears and gets to me is the recent information that I was just informed of the UK actually looking at trying to merge the specialised units of the British Armed Forces. Two of them, in particular, the Royal Marines Commandos of the Royal Navy and the British Parachute Regiment of the British Army. Now, being that I am a British Army veteran, of course not a Parachute Regiment, paratrooper, I have so much respect for both branches. I've worked alongside the British Parachute Regiment multiple times, actually. In Afghanistan also, I've supported them, and a great bunch of guys, and of course the Royal Marines too. I have many friends in both branches of the service, so hearing this kind of news coming up is just shocking to me. Wanting to merge two specialised units together because of defence cuts literally makes me want to scream. I have no idea why or how they feel that this is going to benefit the British Armed Forces or the UK defence sector. Let's look at it like this. The British Parachute Regiment and the Royal Marine Commandos all have a very strong prestige, a very strong professional standard, and a lot of troops, aspiring troops from, a young age that are going into basic training and such, have chosen that particular branch of the armed force for a reason. They want to be a para or they want to be a commando. That is what it is. You want to be a Marine or you want to be a para. Something from, a very young age. A lot of aspiring soldiers want to be that because their family have been. The prestige is there, the ongoing history of those regiments and that particular branch is, embedded in their passion of being that soldier or that Marine. When you start looking at combining such and honestly very different branches of the armed forces, it's a complete cluster. It makes zero sense. You're looking at an airborne regiment working alongside an amphibious unit. How on earth does this reduce cost and savings towards the UK and the MOD? It just doesn't. And it brings a tear to my eye because one proposal was actually given as 11,000 soldiers to be reduced, 2,000 Royal Marines, and 1,250 airmen. I understand that we are in a financial crisis around the world, and obviously with Brexit, this is really brought into the spotlight a little more. This is not the way to go about doing it. I can almost guarantee you that most of the Parachute Regiment troops out there and Royal Marine Commandos will agree with me that the collaboration of two units together is one thing, but putting units as a merge and, amalgamating them from two completely different branches of the armed forces is absolute insanity. I don't know which idiot in an air-conditioned office somewhere in the Parliament building figured this little plan out, but if it's someone from the MOD and you're watching this video, have a word with yourself. This is very, very strange to me that this has even come up as an option to reduce funding towards the armed forces and make it more cost efficient. It makes no sense to me. Really, it doesn't. I mean, the claims are actually right now speculation. There's no solid information that we're finding from the MOD or the Ministry of Defence that is indicating that this is actually going to happen. No decisions have been made, but the Times claims that the Defence Secretary Gavin Williamson has actually rejected the plans, calling them completely unacceptable. An MOD spokesperson said a whole range of options have been discussed as part of the cross-government review on how to best protect our country. However, no decisions have been taken, and any talk of an outcome is pure speculation. So, of course, this isn't going to be put, straight into the books and say, okay, it's sealed, we're done, we're going to change over from, dual armed force branches to one singular special forces unit of the Royal Marine Commandos and Parachute Regiment, but the fact that those kind of ideas are flying around scares the hell out of me, that they're actually looking at these kind of things to do, and they're literally cannibalizing the British Army and the Royal Marine Commandos of the Royal Navy and putting them together, and they're tearing the camaraderie, the morale, and the the ethos of these units at the same time in doing so. The defense editor of the Times, Deborah Haynes, tweeted that Mr. Williamson was right to reject them, but now he has to find another fix for funding the crisis. I can't understand what crisis we're looking at here. The crisis is we don't have enough armed forces because we did a major cut back in 2012, 13, 14, whenever it was. Right now there are 3 options on the table. Option 1, personnel cut of 14,250. Option 2, personnel cut of 14,000. And option 3, personnel cut of 14,000. Out of option 1, 59 cap badges will be lost. 59 cap badges. 3rd Commando Brigade and 16 Air Assault Brigade work as more of a combined unit. A combined unit? They're completely different units. Option 2, 39 cap badges lost. 3 light infantry regiments and 3 cavalry regiments lost. 3 Commando Brigade and 16 Air Assault Brigade work as a combined unit. It makes no sense. And finally, option 3. 42 cap badges lost, 3 light infantry regiments and 3 cavalry regiments, 1 strike brigade created. Now, 1 strike brigade, I'll give you that, I'll understand. Maybe if the Royal Marines and the Paras work as a, combined force that can work alongside one another in a, brigade that can be set as quick reaction or a task force that can be sent very, very quickly, which is, I think, for the most part, what happens really anyway. 16 Air Assault and 3rd Commando Brigade are going to be working alongside each other. In Afghanistan, they swapped roles back in there. They took over each other's responsibility when they came in and out of deployment, so nothing's really changed there. I don't want to see any cuts to the armed forces, but one thing I really don't want to see is prestigious special forces units such as the Parachute Regiment and the Royal Marine Commandos being turned into this, Frankenstein unit just to save some money. What I think the government doesn't quite realise is a fighting force is only as good as the morale, the ethos, the professionalism of that unit. If you start putting a unit that is so renowned for its history and its, specialisation in one area and combine it with the exact same thing on the opposite end of the spectrum, it's not going to benefit you in any way. Financially, I'm not too sure. Maybe it does for what the, penny pushers are looking at and all the pencil pushers, but when it comes to soldiers fighting on the ground and Marines fighting on the ground, I don't see its practicality and its benefit. Maybe I'm not seeing it from the eyes of a paratrooper or a Marine, but I can almost guarantee any of you who are watching who are a paratrooper or Marine are going to probably side with the same idea. What's the logic in combining the forces? You're not really benefiting on anything. You're looking at an amphibious unit, professional amphibious unit, going alongside a professional airborne unit, which have 2 very different roles. Of course, the Marines and the Parachute Regiment can do very similar taskings, especially the Royal Marines. Of course, they use helicopters and all that good, similar to the airborne troops of the Parachute Regiment. But, the Paras don't do amphibious assaults via landing craft. It's just not what they do. It's not part of the parcel of what they do in a day-to-day basis. So, we'd have to retrain those units if they had to go in a combined unit. Look at the complications you're starting to bring up there. Oh, well, we can only use, 1 battalion, 2 battalion para for this, and maybe we'll use 3 battalion for amphibious that can coincide with, the Royal Marines wherever they're going. It just doesn't combine together. It doesn't mesh well. If you wanted to combine infantry regiments such as, say, light infantry regiments with the Parachute Regiment, I could kind of see that being more of a practical option, rather than combining completely different branches of the British Armed Forces together to make this cost-saving, cost-effective platform. It's insanity, folks. It really is, and I'm just really scared as to what else and what other ideas and options are potentially going to be floating around here. But overall, I honestly feel that this is just the most ridiculous decision and option that I've ever heard recently come from the MOD and the UK government when it comes to armed forces spending. Let me know what you think of this, folks. I would love to hear your opinion on it. I hope most of you will agree with me that this is a ludicrous option and it's not going to save pennies, and if it does, it's going to do so at the sacrifice of potential, morale, for sure. People are going to be really upset with it, and the potential to really dishearten a lot of aspiring soldiers who want to go into one particular branch or the other. I don't know how they'll even amalgamate this if it's a completely different cap badge. Can you imagine telling the Royal Marines and the Paras, hey, you got to make this amalgamated cap badge that combines the 2 of you? It'll be like a riot. I mean, how senior officials and commanders of these 2 units are not losing their minds right now, and maybe they are. And it's not showing up in the media as much. These aren't big headline news articles that I see, on BBC News and such. These are on background news articles. Maybe it's because it's not 100% going, to happen yet, but it is still an option, and those things that are flying around in the background sometimes can come to the foreground and actually happen. Let's just hope this time it doesn't. So there you have it. I've voiced my frustrations. Obviously, I'm not a part of the British Army or the British Armed Forces anymore. However, I'm still British at heart, and I know I don't have much say on the matter anymore now that I'm part of the Canadian Army, but it's still true to my heart. Seeing things like this and these kind of options and ideas floating around really kind of disheartens me a little bit to see upstanding regiments and branches of the armed forces potentially being gutted. Really, really scary stuff. So I would love to hear your opinion on this. Let me know in the comments section below what you think. If you want to support my channel, I'd really appreciate that. Go check out my Patreon account. It is in the description box below, and any donations of support towards there would be much appreciated, and thank you in advance. And to all of you who have donated, I really can't thank you enough. As I said before, please let me know what you think, and let's just hope in the future this isn't going to be happening. Big respect to the Royal Marine Commandos and the Parachute Regiment for everything that you've done for our country, and I hope those of you who are aspiring to be either of those two branches of the armed forces succeed and do extremely well and enjoy every second of your careers. All the best, and bye-bye.